All right. Throughout the webinar, if you have any questions at all, please use that little speech bubble in the bottom right of the Meet. That will be our chat. Megan from support is going to be monitoring the chat, so she'll be able to answer your questions in there. I believe I also have Sophia in here as well monitoring. So they'll answer any questions you guys have in there. If for any reason your questions aren't answered or you have more questions after today, you can fill out that survey. So that link that we'll put in at the end of the webinar, you can fill out that survey not only for your certificate, but you can ask additional questions or ask for those support material login credentials. So I'm going to walk through the course types. So K-2, the kindergarten through second grade courses are going to look a little bit different than our higher grade level courses. So I just picked a first grade mathematics to show you an example. A full regular course is going to have about 10 units. All of our courses will have that Getting Started folder right at the top. Within the Getting Started folder, it's going to have any required materials, if there's printables, if there's any required reading, anything the student is going to need external from the platform, it's going to be located right within the Getting Started folder. We always recommend that teachers and students click on the Activities Play button of their course card when they first log in and they first get a course, so that you can come and see all of the gradable, non-gradable, Getting Started folder, everything you'll need for the course. That way, once we get into the demo site, I'll show you exactly where you can find that Activities Play button and locate all this information. But the structure of a unit is going to have about 3 lessons before they see a quiz, with about 9 to 12 lessons, about 3 quizzes, and then at the end they'll have a practice test and unit test. They may find some activities, projects, labs sprinkled throughout the unit, depending on the grade level, subject, and what they're learning. Within a lesson itself, for the K-2, it's going to look a little different. It'll have slides, so it'll chunk up what they're learning this way. They'll have buttons on the far left-hand side where they can click to navigate through their slides, or they'll also, at the bottom of the slides, have a previous and next button, so whatever they prefer. They may have interactives, pictures, and then they'll have a check for understanding, where they'll have questions within their lesson that they'll have to answer. They will have to provide an answer for all questions, or it won't let them submit. In kindergarten and first grade courses, they will find a headphones icon in the top right of their slide. This is going to play in a human voice, so as they're learning to read, it's a little bit easier for them to hear a human voice read aloud than what's available on the text-to-speech, the accessibility toolbar. Looking at a higher level course, you'll notice that it has 10 units for the full course. Those high school level core courses, you may see midterms and finals, but they'll still have that Getting Started folder at the very top. Their units are going to be structured the same. However, when you get to the content of the lessons, it's going to look a little bit more mature. So they'll have any applicable vocabulary at the top, and then they'll have their main bulk of content. There might be images, charts, graphs, short videos under 3 minutes to break it up, but it kind of just depends on what they're learning in the grade level. And then they will also have a check for understanding when I scroll down here. Quite a bit of it is going to be auto-graded by the platform. However, if it is an essay question, open-ended question, it's an upload-based activity, different things like that, student unique answers, those are going to come to your needs grading as a teacher. I'll show you in the demo site where that's going to come for you and how you can provide grades. But quite a bit of it will be like this, where it'll be graded by the platform. They may have some tools up in the top right, depending on the choices your school made for what can be available. We'll walk through all of them once we get into the demo site and get into the activities of a course. But that's the basic look and feel of a regular course. We also have an accommodated version, or ACCOM courses. These are going to be available in 3rd through 12th grade. There'll be core. Some CT and electives are available in the accommodated version as well. The difference in an accommodated course is that whenever a student takes a quiz, practice test, or unit test, they'll have an automatically reduced number of questions. So for example, in a regular course, if the quiz has 10 to 15 questions, the accommodated course is only going to have 5 questions. In a regular course, the unit test may have 20 to 30 questions. However, in a accommodated course, they're only going to see 10 in a test. However, the lessons themselves are exactly the same as a regular course. It'll be exact same content, exact same questions, exact same number of questions. The benefit of the accommodated courses will be the quizzes and tests reduction. We also have knowledge assessment courses, or the KA courses. These have been very popular with our credit recovery. The structure of these are going to be a little bit different. These are also 3rd through 12th grade. However, they're the core courses. It'll still have that getting started folder at the top, so anything they need will be in there. However, the structure of the unit is going to be a little bit different. The first thing they're going to see in here is the knowledge assessment itself. If they pass the knowledge assessment with 70% or higher, they'll be automatically excused through the entire unit until they get to the next knowledge assessment for that unit. And essentially, they can test out unit by unit. If they fail this knowledge assessment, they'll just be required to work through the activities within that unit until they get to the next knowledge assessment of the next unit. These KA courses will not have any midterms or finals if they are in the regular course, but all the content within the unit will be exactly the same. If they have to work through it, it'll be the exact same content as the regular course. But that's the breakdown of our main 3 course types. Megan, I don't know if any questions came up within the chat about any of those. Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to move over to the demo site together. I'm going to put the training site credentials up on the screen here. We're also going to post it in the chat for you, so if it's easier to copy and paste or click on a link, it'll be right in the chat in just a moment. We're going to go to trainingsite.thebrightthinker.com. Everyone will have the same username of wteacher, no spaces, with the password teach, all lowercase. Again, that's going to be in the chat. I'm going to set a timer for about 2 minutes, give you guys a moment to try and log in if you're going to follow along on your own device. And then after those 2 minutes, we're going to move on within the training site. Feel free to use that little smiley face in the middle of your meet if you've successfully logged in, or let us know how you're feeling. But I'm going to set a timer and then we'll begin within the site in just 2 minutes. Thank you. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started within the training site. So when navigating to the training site, it should have looked like this. When logging in, it should say Teacher App up in the top left-hand corner. It's okay if it doesn't. In the top right corner, there will be a Rubik's Cube or waffle-looking icon. When you hover over it, it'll say App, and you can click right onto there. Just like your actual school site, when you click onto this icon when you're in your own, it'll give you a drop down of all of the permissions you have within the site. So if you have admin permissions and you're enrolled as a teacher, you'll have the ability to toggle between teacher and admin right here from your app icon. Today, we're going to be walking through the teacher app, so you just want to make sure you select teacher if you're not already there. So when logging into your site, just like your school site, any courses that you're enrolled in as a teacher will populate for you underneath the date right in the middle. These are what we call course cards. There may be an image on the course card. You'll have a title of the course, and then there's some icons right here at the bottom of each course card. We're not going to click onto any of them yet. We'll walk through them and get into them here in a little bit. But in the very top left-hand corner, you'll have 3 stacked lines or that hamburger looking icon. When you click there, that is going to be your main menu of the site. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the main menu. We're not going to click into anything of the main menu, but we do have more information about these items within the support materials as well. Again, so that's just the triple lines in the top left for your main menu. You'll have things within your main menu, like you can navigate to your needs grading. You'll have a section where you can create announcements. You'll also have a calendar option, just like your students. You'll have a main menu people tab in here as well. We're going to walk through the people of a course. It's going to look exactly the same of what we're walking through. But this people section is going to hold all of the students and all of your courses. So it'll just depend on if you want to see all your students at one time or for just a particular course. Within your main menu, you'll also have a support materials link. So anytime you click onto the support materials, it's going to open up a new tab and it'll bring you to that URL for our support materials. So to bring you to this site where you can click into those teacher training materials or the overall support materials to get your resources and information. Right below that within the main menu, you'll also have a customer support link. Anytime you click onto that Bright Thinker customer support, it's going to open up a new tab as well. It's going to bring you to our help desk ticket system, where you'll be able to fill out a ticket if you need a reminder on where to find something. If something doesn't look right, you need some help, feel free to click into that help desk. The more information you can provide us, the better, so we can get you a quicker response. It'll come to our full support team, and we have a pretty quick response time. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but it will come to all of us, so whoever can help you the best, the fastest will. And both your resources with the Bright Thinker support materials and the Bright Thinker customer support link, those are both within your main menu. You'll also have some reporting options and student resources in here. Students will have resources as well, so you can view the resources that they have, direct them to go here, but they will also have PDFs and videos for different pieces within the platform that they can navigate to. So I'm just going to click out of my main menu. On the login page, up here in the middle where it has the date, to the right of that, you'll notice it says needs grading. So anytime that a student submits something that needs a teacher to provide a grade, it's going to come to the needs grading. So this will have all of your courses, student submissions will come to the same place. You'll get a little bubble with a number on it, and that'll indicate to you how many student submissions you currently have to grade. So if everybody will click onto the needs grading with me. We're going to start from the left-hand panel and work our way over. Feel free to use the emojis for how you're feeling in here. Use the chat if you have any questions or if you need to see something again. And again, the chat is just that little speech bubble in the bottom right. So I'm just going to start over here on the far left-hand side. This is going to list out all of the current submissions you have from your students. It's going to give you the oldest submission at the top, and it will clump together the same activities. You do not have to grade from top to bottom. You can always click on any submission you'd like and grade as you see fit. I'm going to come down here to the bottom where it says mix of auto and manual grading, lesson 2, interacting with analyzing a text. So you can click on either one of those submissions. They should be the exact same. But we're going to start with these examples first. So you just want to click on one of the mix of auto and manual grading, either one. Now that I've selected a student submission, I'm going to move to this middle panel. This is going to be the actual content of the submission. At the top right, the top left, you will have the student's name. If they were, if any accommodations were set for this particular student, you'll have a little flag to the right of their name, and you'll be able to click onto it and view any accommodations that your admin team set for their user. I'm just going to click close. Right below the student's name in that middle panel, you'll also have the course title this is coming from, the title of the activity, the category that it falls under. You may see a targeted due date, a submitted date and time, and some of them even will show you an active time spent from when they've clicked into the activity until they submit it. To the right of the submission information, you'll notice you have a printer icon. This will allow you to print a work sample if needed. It'll give you that submission information. And then if it is a question-based activity, it'll list out all of the questions, student answers, and if they got them correct or incorrect. If it is an upload-based activity and you print it as a work sample, it'll just give you a preview of what they submitted. I'm just going to click close in the bottom right if you clicked on the printer icon. So moving down below the submission information, this example here was partially graded by the platform and partially needs my grading as a teacher. The platform is going to pull to the top the questions that need your attention as a teacher. So in that middle panel, if you scroll down below those first 2 questions, you'll notice that you'll be able to see the auto-graded questions. You can see what they were asked, what they answered, and if they got them correct or incorrect, and if any points were awarded. I'm going to scroll back to the top of the middle panel. So for the questions that need me to score them, you'll notice that you can see the question they were asked. The gray box below that will be where the student has typed in their answer. There might be some feedback, example answers. There might be a rubric below it that you can click on and award those points. It just really depends on the activity itself and what the curriculum has provided. If there's just a points box below it, you'll just need to type in and award those points. You'll notice that once I have put points in there, in the top right of the scoring panel, so this far right-hand panel, the very top, it'll now give me an overall score of the activity. So it has taken my scoring with the auto-graded part, combined it together, and gave me an overall score in the top right. So we're just going to move to this right-hand panel, and we're going to walk through these. Please feel free to use those emojis and let me know how you're feeling within the needs grading so far. It'll just be that smiley face in the bottom of your meet. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Wonderful. All right. Working in this right-hand panel, at the top for that score, you can always click onto it and you can manually change that overall score, keeping in mind it will override the auto-graded portion. Below the score box, you have some options. You can provide full credit, no credit with that 0. You can clear it out and start over, or you can even revert it back to that calculated score. Right below that, you'll have the option to save it as a draft. So if you've only partially graded it, or maybe you're not ready to submit the score, you can always save it. It'll stay within your needs grading, and you can come back and submit it later on. To the right of that will be the submit button. This will submit the score that is provided up here. It will go back to the student and appear in their activity stream. And this will be sent to the gradebook to be calculated in there. Below that, you also have a few more options down here. The first one on the left is going to be excuse. Anytime you click excuse, it's going to put an X in the gradebook, and it will no longer calculate this activity into the overall score. To the right of that will be allow retry. Students, depending on your school, will have a certain amount of attempts independently to submit their work. However, as a teacher, you will always have the ability to allow a retry. So even if they still have attempts or they've exhausted their attempts, you will always be able to provide a retry if you see fit. To the right of that will be override complete. So an example for what this option would be is if there's anywhere where a student is being required to have a passing score to move on. Say, for example, maybe they've exhausted their attempts, they're just not getting it. You've given them retries and you just want them to be able to move on. You can select override complete. It'll accept the failing score and it'll allow the student to move forward. You'll also have the option to mark it as missing. So especially in a sequential order, so if your students are working in sequential order where they have to complete lesson 1 before they can see lesson 2, you can mark something as missing. It'll require the student to go back and complete this activity that you marked as missing before they can move forward with wherever they are within the course. We do highly recommend that you allow a retry before you mark it as missing so that if they are out of attempts, they can still take that activity, retake it, and they won't be stuck and not able to move on. So you'll want to allow a retry and then mark as missing. Right below that will be a messages section. This will allow you to type in feedback or a message to your student for this particular activity. You'll be able to type in here. You can add emojis, links, pictures, YouTube videos. You can insert a video or audio of yourself. You have quite a bit of options here. You'll notice that once you've typed in the messages box down here, up here by the submit, to the right of it, you'll now have an arrow highlighted. What this means is when you click on that arrow facing down next to the submit button, it'll give you the option to send message now. What that means is you'll be able to send the feedback or message to the student without having to submit the score. So if you're choosing to mark it as missing and you want to let them know why, you can do that without submitting a score. As long as you have content within the messages box down here, you'll be able to click send message now. It'll send that message back to the student's activity stream. They'll have a little speech bubble on their activity. It'll let them know that they've got some feedback. They can click on it and view it. It will keep track here for you of the messages you've sent with the date and time. So you can see exactly what you've sent your student for this activity. All right, how's everybody feeling about the scoring panel? If you want to use your emojis. Wonderful, guys. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to click submit so you can see what that looks like. So you'll notice that when you submit a score, it's not going to automatically remove it from your left-hand panel. In order to have items in your needs grading removed from your left-hand submission panel, you're either going to have to refresh or refresh your page or leave the needs grading and come back after you've provided and submitted scores. However, if you just, oh yes, Megan.
Sorry, Amanda, just after your point, there was a question in the chat I thought might be better shown on your screen on how to leave feedback per question instead of on the feedback on the right-hand side.
Oh, I see. Okay, yes. Thank you. So sometimes there's the option to leave feedback per question. There will be a section underneath each question if it is available. So this example doesn't have one. Let me see if the upload base does. So I don't have one here either. But if there's the option to leave feedback per question, it'll populate for you right underneath the question itself. So it'll be like under the points, there'll be an option to leave feedback per question. If it's not here, you can just leave it right here on the side and just indicate which question you're talking about. All right. So if you are going to just stay within your needs grading and just continually grade, it will show you in that left-hand panel the score you provided and that you did submit a score. So you can keep track and you don't have to keep clicking into the same submissions. So in that left-hand submission panel, the top two submissions will say upload-based manual grading. If you'll please click onto one of those, they both should be about the same. But it'll say upload-based manual grading activity, plan a colonial village in that far left-hand submissions panel. You can click on either one of those, and then we're going to move to the middle panel again. So you'll notice in the top, actually, before we move to the middle panel, in the top right, you'll notice that the score is already filled in for me. This does not mean that I have provided a score for this particular submission. This means that the student has previously submitted or previously been scored for this activity, and it's just showing me the last score they received. So you can always click submit and just give that previous score again, or you can provide a new score, either way. But you'll notice for this upload-based activity, I still have all the same submission information at the top left of my middle panel. I still have the option to print with that printer icon in the top right of the middle panel as well. But the submission itself is going to look a little different. So for this particular one, they were asked to edit or print off this activity worksheet and then re-upload it. So you might find two sections within here. You might see a student comments and or you might see student attachments. If you see student comments, it means they either typed within the submission box or maybe they took a picture of their worksheet. They put some sort of content within that student submission box. The student attachments, that'll appear if they attached a file or uploaded a file. You may just get the attachment link or you may get a preview of the actual activity. In that middle panel, if you scroll down all the way, below the preview of the submission, sometimes there's a rubric available for you to click on. Sometimes there's that scoring box. Sometimes there's the feedback option. However, if there is nothing under the preview of the submission, it just means that you need to provide an overall score in the top right. So it'll kind of just depend on the activity and how the curriculum intended it to be scored. This one doesn't have anything underneath the preview, so it just means I need to give an overall score in the top right. I'm going to scroll back up on my middle panel. So sometimes with an upload-based activity, it's not always clear what they were supposed to submit. Sometimes you would like to see if there's an answer key available, and you can do that right from your needs grading. So in that middle panel at the very top, you'll notice that the activity title itself is clickable. So I'll have everybody in the middle panel navigate up to the activity title itself and click right onto the activity title. So once you've clicked onto the activity title, this is going to bring you into that particular student's view of their activity. You'll be able to see what they submitted, how they submitted. their targeted due date, and if they've earned a score. But you'll have to be viewing as a teacher to view any answer keys. So in the very top right, it'll say viewing as, and then it'll give you the student's name. You'll want to click right onto viewing as. And again, that's the top right corner. It'll give you a drop-down menu, and that first option will be view as, and you'll want to select view as. This is going to give you a pop-up window. It'll say view this activity as, and you'll want to select myself teacher. Once you've selected myself teacher, you'll just click OK in the bottom right of that pop-up window. And this will then bring you into the view of the activity as a teacher. So typically, if there is an answer key available, it's going to be right after the actual activity. So in the very top left-hand corner, you'll notice that you have two arrows that are facing away from each other. It'll be right under the title of the activity. The one on the right, facing to the right, is going to say next activity when hovered over, and you'll want to click onto that one. So we're going to click the arrow facing right in the top left corner for next activity. And if there's an answer key available, this is where we'll find it. So this one in particular, it just had one question that needed an answer key for it. Sometimes you'll have a PDF available here where you can download, print, or save it. It just kind of depends on the activity itself. But this one, the curriculum just provided the answer for one particular question on the sheet. When you're done viewing the answer key and you want to go back to your needs grading, you'll just click the arrow in the top left-hand corner, and it'll bring you right back to your needs grading section. We do have reminders of how to find answer keys for upload-based activities within the support materials as well, if you ever need a refresher on those steps. So just a few more things within the needs grading before we navigate out. You'll have a few tabs. So right within this middle panel underneath the submission information, you'll have some tabs. The first one to the far left is going to be content, and that one's highlighted. So that'll be the content you're viewing. To the right of that will be score activity history. So your score and activity history will be how many times they've visited the activity and any scores they've previously received. So you can see any activity by scrolling down if there is any. To the right of this tab will be submission history. This is going to list out how many times the student has submitted this activity. The version at the top is going to be what's available in the content tab, so you won't be able to click on that one. But anything below that, you'll be able to click right onto the date itself, and it'll pull up a preview of what they previously submitted. I'm just going to click close in the bottom right. And then one more tab in here to the right of that will be class statistics. As long as 2 or more students have submitted this activity, you can view the just some statistics on how they're doing and information about it. And then I'm going to click back over on the content tab to the far left. Before we leave the needs grading, if you want to use your emojis, let me know how you're feeling, or Megan, if any questions came up before we leave the needs grading. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, perfect, Megan. All right, so we are going to move on from the needs grading. We're going to dive into the course a little bit more. So I'll have you click back into your main menu in the top left-hand corner. Again, that's just going to be the 3 stacked lines or that hamburger-looking icon in the top left. Within your main menu, I'll have you click onto the teacher app or that house icon at the very top of your main menu. This is going to bring you back to your login page. So again, that's the main menu in the top left-hand corner, those 3 stacked lines. And then you're going to click on the house icon for the teacher app, that first item in your main menu. And that'll bring you back here to the login page. You'll notice the number on your needs grading has changed, and that number will fluctuate as you provide scores and as students submit work. All right, we're going to come down to our course cards. There should be one titled Bright Thinker Teacher Basics webinar course. It should be that very first one on the far left. We're going to walk through some of these icons together now, and that first one on the bottom left will be the activities play button. You and the students will both have the activities play button on your course card. We recommend all teachers and students click on the play button first thing when you get a course, so you can come into the all activities, gradable, non-gradable, of the course. So if everybody will click right onto that activities play button with me. So within this activities page, it's going to have all of the activities within the course. At the very top, it's going to have the title of the course. Right below that will be a landing page section. So when you first come into the course, you'll have a little button in the top left that'll say add landing page content. You'll be able to click there and add content that will populate here. So it can be pictures, it can be links, it can be resources you want to provide your student, information about you as a teacher, or information about the course. And anything you add here will be static and it'll stay up here. So no matter where the students are within their course, they can always click on that play button and view any information you have up here. When scrolling down below the landing page, you will have a search bar within here. This will allow you to type in specific keywords of activity titles, or for example, answer key. If you type in answer key here, it's going to pull up all of the upload-based activity answer keys that are available within the course. I'm just going to click the X to the far right and clear that out. Below the Getting Started folder is going to be a folder titled Example Activities. There's an arrow to the far left, so if it's not already open and expanded, you just have to click the arrow to the far left of the Example Activities folder, and it'll open that up for you. Within that folder, the first item is going to be the auto-graded Lesson 2 Inside the Earth. So if you are following along, you can click right onto that. It's going to be auto-graded Lesson 2 Inside the Earth. So feel free to test out some of these tools in the very top right. I'm going to talk through them and what they do. On the top right, they'll have the option of a highlighter. So if they highlight over any content on the page, those sentences, words, phrases, they can click on that highlight button and it'll highlight. I'm sorry, they have to turn it on, highlight over, and then click the highlighter again. So again, that's just clicking on the highlighter button in the top right, highlighting over their words, and then clicking the highlighter button again. Anything they highlight will stay here within the lesson. So if they leave and come back, any content they highlighted will stay highlighted for them. In the top right again, to the right of the highlighter will be an answer eliminator icon. When they click and turn that on, they can scroll down to their questions. And for those multiple choice questions, they can click on the answer choices and use a visual process of elimination. So if they know it's not going to be those, they can kind of visually eliminate their questions as they go. It's not going to choose any answers for them, and it's not going to prevent them from selecting those answers either. I'm just going to click that icon back off. So if your school chose to allow printing for the teachers and the students, you'll have a printer icon in the top right as well. This will allow you to print a copy of this activity. So if you need a student to work offline or you need a copy of it for any reason, you'll be able to print it out. We do have some recommendations for the scale within the support materials on how to get the best printed version. To the right of that is a little bit newer of an icon. When you hover over it, it'll be single pointer for drag and drop. It'll be those 4 arrows facing away from each other. This icon will appear only if there is a drag and drop question within the activity. So we have one right here where they're just supposed to click, hold down, drag and drop. However, if it is difficult on their device, or if it's difficult for the student to drag and drop, this little icon in the top right will appear for them. They can click to turn it on, and they'll just have to click enable for the single pointer. What this then does is it changes the question, so they can click onto the answer choice, and then they just click where they want it to go. So if they don't have that drag and drop capabilities, whether it's the device or it's difficult for the student, they can always change it so they can just click. They always have the option to turn it off by clicking back onto that single pointer icon in the top right, and it'll go back to that drag and drop option. To the right of that, if it's been made available for your school site, you'll have a little circle with a person in it for your accessibility toolbar. This is where the text-to-speech feature is located. So when you click onto that accessibility icon, it's going to pull up a little toolbar for you. If it's not open, you'll just have to click the arrow on the right to expand the toolbar and open it. You'll have 4 arrows facing away from each other to the far left of the toolbar, and this will allow you to drag it and move it around wherever you'd like it to be. This toolbar features a pointer finger where they'll be able to turn that on and point and click where they would like it to start reading up to 1,000 words. And you won't be able to hear it from my device, but if you are following along, you'll be able to hear it on yours. The play button will play aloud from the top of the page up to 1,000 words. They'll also have options in here such as the translator, so they can highlight word, sentence, phrase, paragraphs. Click onto that translator icon. It'll automatically translate into Spanish. However, there's quite a few different languages that they can choose from. And some of them will even play aloud in that language as well. To the right of the translator icon will be a book. This will allow them to highlight a word and click onto that book icon, and it'll bring up the dictionary. To the right of that will be a picture where they can bring up the picture dictionary. And unfortunately, I picked a word that doesn't have a picture dictionary option. But there's usually quite a few. To the right of that will be 2 lines with an eyeball in the middle. This is our screen mask. This is great for those students that need a little bit more help focusing as they're reading through a lot of content. So it'll visually just help them focus on where they're at within the page. To the right of that will be the magnifier with a little letter A on it. This will work with the pointer finger to magnify up the top as it reads aloud. And they'll have options for speeding it up, slowing it down, different highlighter color options, how big the screen mask, space is in between those lines, how big the magnify can go up to 5 times larger than what you saw. And all of those options can be found with that gear icon to the far right of the toolbar. We do have a video that goes more in depth in how to change settings for translation or the highlighter tools within the support materials as well. But I will go in depth for everything within this toolbar and how to change those settings. Yes, Megan.
Hey, Amanda, before you leave the activities page, do you mind showcasing the highlighter just one more time? And specifically after you highlight something, if it was an accident, how to unhighlight?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just going to click back onto the accessibility toolbar and put that back away. And then in order to highlight, you're just going to click and drag and highlight what you want to highlight on your page. You come up to the top right. Oh, I'm sorry. First, you're going to click onto the highlighter in the top right, that icon. And then you're going to click and drag and highlight what you would like highlighted. And then you're just going to click onto the highlighter again, and that'll highlight it for you. If you're looking to remove it, you'll just highlight the highlighted piece and click onto that highlighter. Oh.
Amanda, I think you'll have to click the highlighter on first.
I'm sorry, I keep...
And then click it back off. Yeah, there's a little X when you hover over it. Sorry, not the icon.
No,
there you go.
You're okay, I see it. So again, clicking on that highlighter icon in the top right, and then that'll allow you to highlight back over what you've highlighted, and then you'll click it. Oh.
You just click it. So just click it over. You don't have to highlight.
Thank you.
So you just click back on the highlighted space. It has a little X. It's very hard to see, but you'll just click back on the highlight that was already highlighted and it'll let you take it off.
There we go. My apologies, guys. All right. Was there any other questions before we leave the activities page? Okay, perfect. So I'll have you navigate out with the arrow in the top left. You may have to click it twice to leave that activity, and it'll bring you back to your activities page. So again, that was just the arrow in the top left. You click it twice, and it'll bring you back to the activities page. From here, we're going to click back onto that main menu in the top left-hand corner. Anytime you click into a course, any of those icons, and you click back into your main menu, it's going to give you a sub-menu, and it's going to have all of these icons that you saw on the course card. So right below the activities will be your gradebook, and I'll have you click onto the gradebook. So when coming into the gradebook, automatically you're only going to see gradable activities. You will want to navigate to the gear icon in the top right. It'll say options. It'll say options when hovered over. So after clicking into the gradebook, that gear icon in the top right, this will bring you into display options for the gradebook. So you have quite a bit of different options that you can choose from. And that will include showing non-gradable activities. So I do already have this turned on. So we won't make any changes in here. However, if you would like all of your gradebook display options to be the same in all of your courses, you will have a tools section at the bottom where you can click export. And this will allow you to select other courses that you'd like to apply these same options to. So you don't have to go into every gradebook and select the same display options. You can make the choice in one, come down to tools, click export, select the courses you'd like to apply it to, and then you just click export in the bottom of that pop-up window. And then it'll apply all of that for you. But I'm going to click the X in the top left. So any non-gradable activities within your gradebook are going to come up as gray. And any gradable activities, when I move over to the right, will be that blue clickable color. So I'm going to move over to the right just a little bit so you can see those gradable activities and scores. A great feature within your gradebook, to the right of that gear icon will be the lightning bolt. This will say quick edit when hovered over. When you click onto that lightning bolt and highlight it, this will allow you to click onto a score box and provide a score manually. Or you can type in that letter X, as you see here on your keyboard, and it'll excuse that activity for that student. You'll want to make sure you click on the lightning bolt again to unhighlight it so you don't accidentally affect scores you didn't intend to. You also have the ability to click right onto a score from the gradebook, or if it had that little black paper icon on it that needs a grading, you can click right from the gradebook and you can either view or print a work sample. So if it's a completely auto-graded activity and did come to your needs grading, you can view the submission. You can provide a manual score, print a work sample. You have all the same abilities you did within the needs grading. Click the X in the top left to go back to my gradebook. One more feature within the gradebook, you'll also be able to click right onto the student's name to the far left. Any student's name that you click on will bring you to a grade details page. This will list the overall score in the top left for the student. It'll also list out all of the gradable activities within the course, any scores they've earned, submission dates, and targeted due dates as well. So if you need the pacing for that particular student, you'll be able to print that out from here in the top right. I know we're getting close to the end of the webinar time, but I do have a couple more sections to cover. If you would like to stay, you are more than welcome to stay for a little bit longer past the webinar's time. However, if you have to leave on time, Megan did put in the chat a link to the survey. So if you'd like to fill out a survey, give us some feedback, any questions that weren't answered, you need those support materials, login information, anything like that, you get that hour of PD certificate emailed back to you. So Megan did put that in the chat if you are unable to stay for the last 2 sections. But I will continue with the People tab and the editor if you have a few moments to stay past time. So from here, I'm just going to click the arrow in the top left and go back to my gradebook. As long as any questions didn't come up about the gradebook, Megan, I'll move on to the People tab real quick. Thank you. So from here, we're going to click back into the main menu in the top left corner. Within that main menu, we're going to stay in that submenu. So below the gradebook is going to be your People tab. And I'll have you guys click onto the People tab. So again, that was main menu, staying in the submenu of the course and clicking onto People. So similar to the gradebook, not everything you see here will be available. You'll always want to come up to the gear icon in the top right where it says Options. And this will give you quite a bit of different things that you can check on or check off for what you'd like to view within your People tab. I'm going to leave everything the same, and we're just going to talk about a few of them. I'm going to click the X in the top left. But from your People tab, you'll have all of your students of the course listed to the far left. You can view things such as their accommodations flag if they have one, their overall current score. You can view their progress percentage, and when you hover over that progress bar, it'll give you a number of completed activities and how many total activities are within the course, and this will be all activities, so whether they're gradable or non-gradable. You can also view things such as pace and performance. So if they have that red dot, it means they are behind pace or they're currently failing. If they have a yellow dot, it means they are at risk for falling behind or failing. And then green just indicates they're on track and they're passing. But there's quite a bit of things you can come in here and view, especially if you're wanting to monitor student progress at a glance. It is a great way to see how they're doing all in one place. Anytime you click onto a student's name right here from the People tab as well, it'll bring you to that same grade details page. So you don't have to click there, but I'll show you. If you click onto a student's name in the People tab, it'll be that same grade details page. So you can get there from either the gradebook or the People tab. I'll click that arrow in the top left. And you can use your emojis to let me know how you're feeling about the People tab in the gradebook. Wonderful. All right, perfect. We have one more section to cover. So if you'll click back into that main menu in the top left-hand corner with me, we're going to stay in that submenu of the course, and right below People will be that pencil icon for the editor. So if you'll click onto that pencil icon for the editor, we're just going to cover a couple of things in here real quick. So this is going to have all the activities of the course listed within the editor. Any changes you make in here will affect all students enrolled within the course, unless you set up groupings. Groupings is covered within our Teacher Beyond the Basics. So if you're ever interested in that, Sophia does cover that in her webinar. However, in your editor, in the very bottom left-hand corner will be an expansion arrow. It's going to be facing to the right. And you can always click onto that expansion arrow and open up this panel to the far left. This is going to list out all of the standards or objectives within your course. So this is just a training site, so I'm not quite sure what state it's tied to, but your actual courses will list out your state-specific standards. You'll be able to click the arrow to the far left of a unit title and open up that folder. And when you click that arrow to open up the folder, you'll be able to scroll down and it will show you exactly what standard is covered within those activities. When you're done viewing standards, you just click that arrow again. It should now be facing left in the bottom left of your editor, and it'll collapse that panel again. I'm just going to open up the example activities folder. So I'm going to click the arrow to the left of that example activities towards the top of my editor. And just a few things in here. It will list out the title of the activity. And then to the very far right, you'll notice they all have the same 3 icons. That first one is going to be the eyeball icon. This will allow you to click on it and hide or unhide that activity for all of your students. We highly recommend hiding things within the course instead of deleting them, as we can restore things. We can't always guarantee that they will come back as they were. So we just recommend hiding. We do precaution if your course is automatically paced out with those targeted due dates. If you are hiding or unhiding after the students begin working, it will repace out all of their activities and they'll have different due dates. So we just precaution with that. To the right of that will be the pencil icon. That'll be the editor of the course, or I'm sorry, of the activity. And then you'll have triple dots to the far right. This just allows you to preview, move it around. And like I mentioned, you have the option to delete, but we highly recommend not deleting. We highly recommend using that eyeball icon for hiding. But that was the last piece of the last section that we were going to cover today in the editor. Thank you so much for staying around for the last few minutes. Megan has posted in the chat that survey link for you to receive a certificate of PD today. It's just a short survey. If you have any feedback, any questions that remain, you need the support materials, login information, different things like that, please fill out that survey, let us know, and then we'll respond to the email that you list in there. But we appreciate your time today. It was so wonderful to see everybody, and we look forward to supporting everybody this school year. You guys have a wonderful day.